Hello and welcome to another episode of Weekly Wire. Today we are talking about my 10th anniversary with my iPad and with music making. And 10 years ago I started making music with the iPad because I discovered two absolutely fantastic apps for the iPad. It was the Korg MS-20 version as an iPad app, and it was the Moog AnyMoog as an iPad app. And these two definitely thrilled me. And I was so impressed that I bought my first iPad, and since then I made music with that, and it's one of my absolute favorite devices. But it also had some downsides in the beginning. And in the beginning I was totally enthusiastic about it, but after some months I was a little bit disappointed. Why that? Because everybody wanted to have a cradle for the iPad to make an instrument out of it. And the cradle was developed by many manufacturers like Alesis or Mackie or Focusrite. And so in the first years, around 2013, 2012, there were a lot of products on the market following the cradle concept. So you just plug your iPad in, and then you have a complete recording workstation, or you have a complete synth. You have all the connections with XLR inputs, big headphone outputs, a stable cradle where you can have your integrated power supply, and so on. And so that was a very cool idea. But after 1 year, when I bought my first Alesis cradle, didn't work anymore. So I bought the following model, the Alesis IO Dock number 2. I needed that because Apple invented the Lightning connector, so I had my second cradle, and also the second cradle by Alesis didn't work after 1.5 years. That was a big disappointment for me and for many others, because Apple and the classical manufacturers for synths and for mixers, for example, like Mackie, they didn't really work together when it comes to the point of driver installation or driver programming or whatever. So after, I think, 2 years, my cradles were, total crap. And that disappointed me a lot. And since then, I always wanted to have a solution where I can put my iPad in and where I can connect it to my other musical gear. So I had my own DIY ideas and combining different things in different cases. Around 2020, I stated that the idea of cradles was just given up by many manufacturers, or by all manufacturers. Nobody ever produces cradles anymore. But on the other side, there were many manufacturers who created compatible audio interfaces, like Zoom, like Akai Multimedia, and for example, Universal Audio. And then in 2020, I just started to have a second try with my cradle idea, or with my all-in-one project. And the idea was to have a workstation based on iOS, working with the iPad as my central device for synths, for drum machines, for recording apps, and so on. And that I have a total connectivity with external gear, and that I have a proper input controller, like a pad controller or like a MIDI keyboard, and then combining it with a cool interface. Workstations by the manufacturers, by Korg, Roland, Yamaha, or Akai, they are big and bulky and really expensive, but I wanted to have a compact solution. So what are the tasks I want to do with a recording all-around device based on iOS? I want to have a MIDI keyboard. I want to have all the classical synths as iPad apps. I want to have a sampler like an Impc, and finally I want to record it in a DAW style like Cubasis, or like Fruity Loops, or like Logic. And of course, for me, it's very important to have external connectivity so that I can use my real hardware synths and my real hardware drum boxes with it, that I can plug in microphones. The big downside of an iPad solution is that you have a collection of different devices. You have an audio interface, you have a MIDI controller, you have lots of cables, then you have your iPad. Each of these devices needs its own power supply. This is only a system of different components, and it never is a complete instrument. It doesn't look sexy at all. You cannot grab it and go to your band and just change the location or whatever. So it's not so easy to handle when you have set up your whole system. So my idea was just to set it up and have it all in one casing or in one housing. I do not make a complete step-by-step tutorial how to build it up from scratch, but I show you the different components and what is important for you. So let's get into the details of that little fellow here. It's not a high-end level, carpenter job or something like that. You need some tools, you need some material, and you will create that for around 300 or 400 euros. Okay, let's go.